My beloved child. Do not rush past this moment. There is a reason your eyes have landed here now, and there is a reason your heart feels a quiet pull to keep listening. Some moments arrive by chance, but this one has arrived with purpose. What you are about to hear is a fictional spiritual story meant to awaken hope, reflection, and wonder. Stay with these words, because every sentence is leading toward something your soul has been longing to discover. I have watched every silent prayer you never spoke aloud. I have seen every night when you smiled for others while hiding your own questions. You believed that heaven had become quiet, yet the silence was never empty. It was preparing a message that could only be understood at the right time. There is someone whose path has been slowly moving toward yours, even when both of you believed you were walking in different directions. Their heart has carried an unexplainable feeling, as though a name echoes through their spirit without revealing itself completely. They cannot understand why certain dreams return again and again, why familiar places suddenly feel meaningful, or why an invisible thread keeps drawing them toward a future they cannot yet see. Listen carefully, because this is where the mystery begins. Many seek signs in the stars. Others search in numbers, dates, or coincidences. But sometimes heaven hides a whisper inside something so ordinary that most people overlook it completely. A single letter, just one, can become the beginning of a story that changes two lives forever. Do not try to guess too quickly. The answer is not meant to satisfy curiosity alone. It is meant to prepare your heart. Long before you reached this moment, invisible doors were opening one by one. Conversations that never happened, journeys that were delayed, opportunities that disappeared. None of these were accidents within this story. Each delay was shaping the exact moment when two souls could recognize what they had been unable to see before. Your future was never built in haste. It was woven with patience. There have been moments when you questioned why certain connections faded. You wondered why people walked away without explanation. Yet every ending created space for something greater to arrive. What looked like loss became protection. What felt like waiting became preparation. Now another page is turning. Somewhere, another heart is beginning to notice strange patterns. They cannot explain why one particular letter keeps appearing before them. They see it in unexpected places. They hear it during ordinary conversations. They pass signs carrying that letter and feel an emotion they cannot describe. To everyone else, it means nothing. But to heaven, it is the beginning of remembrance. You may think this message is about revealing a simple initial. It is much deeper than that. The letter itself is only a doorway. Behind that doorway waits a story, a meeting, a lesson, and a transformation that neither of you expected. Every experience you have survived has quietly prepared you for the moment when this hidden connection begins to reveal itself. Do not allow impatience to steal what faith is still building. There are mysteries that cannot be rushed. Even now, while these words unfold, your heart may be remembering someone you have never truly met. Strange as that sounds, the soul often recognizes possibilities long before the mind accepts them. This is why certain songs move you without reason. This is why certain places feel familiar before your first visit. This is why hope refuses to disappear, even after disappointment. The story has never ended. It has only been waiting. And now comes the part few are prepared to hear. The letter that has been quietly surrounding both your paths is closer than you imagine. It has appeared before you more than once, but each time you overlooked its meaning because the season of understanding had not yet arrived. That season is beginning. But before the letter can be revealed, there is one hidden truth about your own heart that must come into the light first. Without understanding that truth, the letter would become nothing more than a symbol. With understanding, it becomes the key to everything. And what heaven is about to reveal next will make you look back at every coincidence in a completely different way. My beloved child, remain with this message a little longer, because the mystery is not growing smaller, it is becoming clearer. What follows is still part of this fictional spiritual story, and every step is leading toward a revelation that cannot be rushed. You have spent so much time searching for obvious answers that you almost miss the gentle whispers placed along your path. Heaven rarely shouts in this story. It often speaks through moments that seem ordinary until you look back and realize they were guiding you all along. The hidden truth I spoke of is not about perfection. It is about the quiet strength you discovered without even noticing. Every disappointment softened your heart instead of hardening it. Every unanswered question taught you patience. Every season of waiting prepared you to recognize a connection built on sincerity instead of illusion. Meanwhile, somewhere beyond your sight, another soul has been experiencing a similar journey. They have wondered why they cannot let go of the feeling that someone important is drawing closer. They have awakened from vivid dreams carrying a strange sense of peace. They have found themselves pausing whenever one particular letter appears in a book, on a sign, in a conversation, or even within a familiar name. To everyone else, it is simply another letter. Yet their heart becomes still for reasons they cannot explain. Do not misunderstand this sign. The letter itself does not create destiny. It simply becomes a gentle reminder within this fictional story that two lives may be moving toward the same chapter. The real miracle is not the character written on a page, it is the transformation taking place inside two hearts that are learning to become ready. Perhaps you have already noticed unusual moments of your own. A conversation that felt strangely meaningful. A dream that stayed with you long after sunrise. A feeling that someone you have never met somehow feels familiar. These experiences are not meant to make you anxious. They are invitations to become more aware of hope, kindness, and the possibility that life still holds beautiful surprises. Yet there is another layer to this mystery. Not everyone notices the signs at the same time. Sometimes one heart awakens first while the other is still learning. Sometimes one person recognizes the pattern while the other continues walking, unaware that every step is bringing them closer to an extraordinary meeting. That is why patience remains one of the greatest gifts in this story. If every answer arrived immediately, there would be no room for growth, trust, or wonder. Now listen closely. The letter you have been waiting for has been hidden in plain sight all along. It has crossed your path more often than you realize. You may have spoken it countless times without recognizing its quiet importance. You may have seen it today without giving it a second thought. And that is exactly why the next revelation matters. Before the initial can be understood, you must first recognize why that single letter has continued appearing throughout your journey. Once you see the pattern, nothing will look the same again. In the next part, the mystery surrounding that letter begins to unfold in a way neither you nor the other soul could have expected, and the meaning behind it will change everything you thought you knew. My beloved child. Stay with this story just a little longer, because the moment you have been waiting for is beginning to unfold. This is still a fictional spiritual message, yet every word is meant to inspire hope, reflection, and the feeling that beautiful possibilities can arrive when the heart is ready. There are seasons when heaven, in this story, seems to remain silent. During those seasons, many people believe nothing is changing. Yet beyond what can be seen, countless small moments are quietly arranging themselves into a greater picture. The paths of two souls are not brought together through one dramatic event alone. They are prepared through hundreds of unseen moments that seem ordinary until they finally connect. The mysterious letter has never been about predicting the future with certainty. Instead, it has served as a gentle invitation to pay attention. Every time you noticed it without understanding why, your heart was being reminded to remain open instead of becoming discouraged. Every unexpected appearance of that letter whispered, "Do not lose hope. Your story is still being written." At the very same time, another soul within this story has been experiencing a similar awakening. Without knowing your name, they have felt an unusual sense that someone important is drawing closer. They have found themselves smiling for no obvious reason. Familiar places suddenly feel different. Certain conversations linger in their thoughts far longer than expected. Even simple moments seem filled with quiet meaning. They cannot explain it. Neither can you. Because some journeys are understood only after both travelers reach the same destination. Now imagine a library filled with thousands of books. Every story begins with a letter. Every promise begins with a letter. Every name begins with a letter. That is why this symbol matters. It represents a beginning rather than an ending. It reminds you that even the smallest sign can become the first page of something unforgettable. Do not become distracted by trying to force the answer. The greatest revelations are received by peaceful hearts, not impatient minds. As these words continue, notice what happens inside you. Perhaps you feel curiosity. Perhaps you feel peace. Perhaps you simply feel that something beautiful could still be waiting ahead. Hold on to that feeling. It is far more valuable than certainty. Because certainty often ends the search. But hope keeps the heart alive. Now the mystery deepens once again. The letter is connected to a memory you have not yet recognized. A seemingly ordinary encounter, a forgotten conversation, or a place you almost ignored carries a hidden thread that leads back to this very moment. Nothing was wasted. Nothing happened without purpose in this fictional journey. Soon, the reason that particular letter has continued appearing will become impossible to overlook. But before heaven, in this story, reveals its deeper meaning, one final veil must be lifted. The next chapter will uncover why that letter has followed both your path and the other soul's path for so long, and why the moment of recognition is much closer than either of you ever imagined. My beloved child. The story has now reached the edge of a moment that has been quietly approaching since the very first word. This is still a fictional spiritual narration, but if your heart has remained open, you may already sense that every mystery has been leading here. Take one more quiet moment. Not because the answer is about to appear all at once, but because some revelations deserve to arrive gently, allowing the heart to receive them before the mind tries to explain them. The letter you have been wondering about has never been a test of fate. It has never been a guarantee or a prediction. Within this story, it is a symbol, a reminder that even the smallest details can awaken hope when they appear at exactly the right time. Imagine a sunrise. The light does not cover the whole sky in a single second. It begins with one faint glow on the horizon. Many people miss that first light because they are waiting for something dramatic. But those who watch carefully know that every magnificent morning begins with one small sign. So it is with the mysterious letter. It is the first glow before the sunrise. It invites you to pay attention, to remain hopeful, and to believe that meaningful connections often grow quietly before they become visible. Now picture another soul standing beneath the same sky. They are asking questions they cannot answer. Why does one particular initial keep returning to their thoughts? Why does a feeling of familiarity appear whenever they hear certain names? Why does their heart become unexpectedly calm when they imagine the future? They do not know that, somewhere beyond their sight, another person you has been asking similar questions. Neither of you understands the entire picture. Yet both of you are slowly walking toward the same chapter. This is how the story unfolds. Not with fear. Not with pressure. But with quiet anticipation. You may have expected a loud announcement from heaven. Instead, heaven in this story offers gentle whispers. A meaningful conversation. A chance encounter. A familiar smile. A moment that seems ordinary until months later, when you realize it changed everything. And now comes the revelation hidden behind the mystery. The true message was never about discovering one specific letter. The real message has always been about becoming the kind of person who is ready to recognize love, kindness, and purpose when they finally arrive. Because if the heart is closed, even the clearest sign goes unnoticed. But when the heart is open, even the smallest whisper becomes unforgettable. Still, the journey is not complete. One final mystery remains. There is a reason that particular letter has continued appearing in unexpected places throughout this fictional story. Its deeper meaning reaches beyond a single name, connecting to a promise that neither soul fully understands yet. That promise has not been spoken aloud. It has been quietly written across every unexpected delay, every surprising coincidence, every unanswered question, and every hopeful beginning. The next chapter will reveal why the letter mattered from the very beginning and why its greatest meaning was never the initial itself, but the extraordinary path it was quietly inviting both souls to follow. My beloved child. If your heart is still listening, then you have arrived at a place that many never reach. They search for signs but forget to discover the meaning behind them. You have remained through every whisper, every question, and every moment of quiet anticipation. Now the story opens another hidden door. This is still a fictional spiritual message, yet every scene is crafted to remind you that hope often grows long before it becomes visible. Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine standing in a peaceful valley at dawn. The air is still. The light is gentle. Nothing extraordinary appears to be happening, yet beneath the surface everything is changing. The flowers are preparing to bloom. The birds are waiting to sing. The morning is becoming brighter with every passing heartbeat. So it is with two souls whose paths are slowly moving together. Neither one can see the entire journey. Neither one knows how many unseen moments have already brought them closer. But heaven, within this story, sees every step. Every unexpected delay protected the timing. Every unanswered prayer prepared deeper wisdom. Every closed door redirected both hearts toward a better path. Now you understand why the mysterious letter continued appearing. It was never demanding your attention. It was quietly inviting your awareness. A reminder that life is filled with moments carrying greater meaning than they first appear to hold. Perhaps that letter belongs to someone you already know. Perhaps it belongs to someone you have not yet met. Or perhaps it represents the beginning of a chapter that has not yet opened. The mystery is not meant to create fear or certainty. It is meant to awaken expectation. Meanwhile, the other soul in this fictional journey has reached a turning point of their own. They have begun letting go of old disappointments. They have chosen forgiveness over bitterness. They have started believing that their greatest chapter may still be ahead. Without realizing it, both of you are changing at the same time. That is why the invisible distance between your stories feels smaller than ever. The greatest connections are often formed long before the first conversation ever happens. They begin with growth. With patience. With quiet preparation. There is one final truth I want you to carry from this chapter. Do not spend your days chasing symbols while overlooking the beautiful life unfolding around you. The letter is only a reminder. Kindness is the real sign. Hope is the real path. Love expressed through compassion is the real miracle. When your heart becomes a place of peace, you begin recognizing blessings that were always nearby. And that is where this mystery becomes even more beautiful. Because the next revelation is no longer about a single letter. It is about the moment when two separate stories finally recognize they have been part of the same greater story all along. That moment is closer than either soul could have imagined, and when it arrives, every whisper, every coincidence, and every unanswered question from the beginning of this journey will suddenly make perfect sense. But that is a revelation for the next part. My beloved child. You have remained on this journey because something inside your spirit recognizes that every meaningful story unfolds one step at a time. The greatest revelations are never hurried. They arrive like the first light after a long night softly, patiently, and with perfect timing. This is still a fictional spiritual message, created to inspire hope and wonder, but the next part of the story carries the deepest lesson yet. There was never a moment when your path was forgotten. Even when you believed nothing was changing, unseen chapters were quietly being written. Every smile you offered during difficult days, every act of kindness that no one noticed, every time you chose hope instead of giving up, those moments became part of a story much larger than you realized. The other soul has also been changing. They have begun noticing that their heart no longer longs for what once distracted them. Old fears have started losing their power. They feel a quiet peace replacing confusion, as though an invisible hand has been leading them toward a destination they cannot yet describe. Then something unexpected happens. One ordinary day, they hear a name. Not the full answer. Not the complete story. Just a name spoken in passing. For a brief moment, time seems to stand still. Their heart responds before their mind can understand why. It is not certainty they feel. It is recognition. A gentle whisper that says, "Pay attention. This moment matters." At that same time, you are living your own ordinary day, unaware that another chapter has quietly begun somewhere beyond your sight. You continue with your routine, never realizing that the story you have been waiting for has already started moving. This is how heaven works within this fictional tale. Not through noise. Not through fear. But through quiet moments that reveal their importance only when the time is right. Remember the mysterious letter? It was never placed before you to make you predict the future. It was placed before you so that when the right moment arrived, your heart would recognize gratitude instead of doubt, peace instead of fear, and hope instead of impatience. The greatest miracle is not knowing every answer. The greatest miracle is becoming the person who can receive the next chapter with wisdom and kindness. Soon, the distance between the two journeys will become smaller than ever before. Conversations that seemed impossible will become natural. Coincidences will begin connecting like pieces of a beautiful mosaic. What once appeared random will reveal an unexpected pattern. And when that pattern becomes clear, you will finally understand why the letter appeared again and again throughout this story. It was never pointing only toward another person. It was quietly pointing toward the version of you that was growing stronger with every passing day. Yet one final mystery still remains. There is a promise that has not yet been spoken aloud, a promise hidden since the very first words of this message. When that promise is finally revealed, both the meaning of the letter and the reason these two paths were slowly drawn together will become clearer than ever before. That moment is waiting just beyond the next chapter. My beloved child. You have come this far because your heart sensed that this story was leading somewhere greater than a simple mystery. Every word has been preparing you for a truth that cannot be understood in a single moment. This is still a fictional spiritual message, yet perhaps its greatest purpose is to remind you that hope often grows in places we least expect. There comes a season in every journey when waiting no longer feels like standing still. Instead, it becomes quiet preparation. Without realizing it, you have been learning patience, compassion, and courage. Those qualities cannot be rushed, because they are the foundation upon which lasting connections are built. The other soul has been changing in similar ways. They have begun noticing beauty in ordinary moments. A familiar melody makes them pause. A gentle breeze reminds them that peace can arrive unexpectedly. They have stopped asking, "When will everything happen?" and started asking, "How can I become ready for whatever beautiful chapter comes next?" That change transforms everything. Within this fictional story, heaven does not measure readiness by perfection. It is measured by the willingness to love with honesty, to forgive without keeping score, and to trust that meaningful moments often arrive quietly. Think back to every mysterious appearance of the letter. Perhaps you saw it in a book. Perhaps it appeared in a conversation. Perhaps it crossed your path so naturally that you almost forgot it. None of those moments demanded an answer. They simply whispered, "Keep your heart open." Sometimes people spend so much energy trying to identify the sign that they overlook the blessing already growing inside them. The greatest gift was never hidden inside a single initial. It was hidden inside your transformation. Every challenge refined your spirit. Every delay strengthened your patience. Every unanswered question invited deeper faith in the beauty of tomorrow. Meanwhile, the other soul has begun sensing that a meaningful encounter is drawing closer. They cannot explain why ordinary days suddenly feel filled with expectation. They notice kindness more easily. Gratitude comes more naturally. It is as though their heart is quietly preparing to recognize someone who will bring peace rather than confusion. And somewhere, without either of you realizing it, your stories are moving toward the same horizon. Not because fate forces them, but because both hearts have learned lessons they once resisted. This is the promise hidden throughout the entire journey. Real connections flourish when both people continue growing, even before they know each other's names. Now the mystery surrounding the letter begins to take its final shape. It was never placed before you as a prediction. It was offered as an invitation. An invitation to remain hopeful. To choose kindness over fear. To welcome each new day with expectation instead of discouragement. Because when your heart carries hope, even ordinary moments become extraordinary. Yet there is still one final revelation waiting beyond this chapter. The next part will uncover why the story began with a single letter but was always leading towards something infinitely greater, a reminder that the most beautiful chapters are not discovered by chasing signs, but by becoming the kind of person who recognizes love, purpose, and grace when they finally arrive. My beloved child. If you are still here, then this journey has already accomplished something beautiful. It has slowed your thoughts, opened your heart, and reminded you that the greatest stories are not built in a single moment. This has always been a fictional spiritual message, created to encourage hope, patience, and wonder. Now the final veil begins to lift. From the very beginning, you believed the mystery was about discovering one special letter. You waited for a single answer that would explain everything. Yet heaven, within this story, was gently leading you toward a far greater understanding. The letter was never the destination. It was only the invitation. Every appearance of that symbol encouraged you to pause, to notice, and to remember that life is filled with quiet moments carrying extraordinary meaning. Had the answer been revealed immediately, you might have admired the sign but missed the transformation taking place within your own heart. Look back over this journey. You entered searching for certainty. You now stand holding something even more valuable: hope. Hope that your story is still unfolding. Hope that meaningful connections can grow in unexpected ways. Hope that every season of waiting can prepare us for a brighter tomorrow. Within this fictional tale, the other soul has reached the same realization. They no longer search anxiously for perfect signs. Instead, they have learned to become a source of kindness wherever they go. They smile more freely. They forgive more easily. They trust that when the right chapter arrives, it will not need to force its way into their life. And in that quiet confidence, something remarkable happens. The invisible distance between both stories begins to disappear. Not through dramatic miracles. Not through fear. But through ordinary moments filled with extraordinary purpose. A conversation begins. A familiar place suddenly feels important. Two paths that seemed completely unrelated slowly move toward the same horizon. Neither soul realizes how many unseen moments have already connected them. Yet heaven has seen every step. Every delay. Every lesson. Every act of compassion. Every prayer whispered in silence. Nothing was forgotten. Nothing was wasted. Now you understand why the journey began with a single mysterious letter. Because every great story begins with something small. A single word. A single choice. A single act of faith. A single moment of hope. And sometimes, a single letter. Carry this truth with you beyond this story. Do not allow uncertainty to steal your joy today. Continue becoming a person who reflects kindness, peace, humility, and compassion. Those qualities shine far brighter than any sign ever could. One day, when you look back upon your own life's journey, you may discover that what seemed like random moments were quietly guiding you toward growth all along. Until then, keep your heart open. Walk forward with hope. Let gratitude become your daily companion. And remember that the most beautiful chapters are rarely the ones we predict, they are the ones we grow into. May peace remain with you, and may every new beginning remind you that even the smallest whisper can become the first page of an unforgettable story. My beloved child. Even though it may seem that the journey has reached its destination, another page is quietly waiting to be opened. Every ending within this fictional story is also the beginning of something greater. Remain here for a little longer, because one final whisper from heaven has not yet been shared. There are moments when people believe they have received every answer they need. Yet the soul understands that the greatest discoveries are not found in knowing the future, they are found in becoming ready for it. That is why your path has unfolded the way it has. Not to fill your heart with certainty, but to fill it with courage. Look around your life with fresh eyes. The people you meet. The kindness you receive. The opportunities that appear without warning. The peaceful moments that arrive after seasons of uncertainty. None of these should be taken for granted. Within this fictional story, each one is a reminder that unseen grace has been quietly walking beside you all along. The other soul has reached this understanding as well. They no longer chase every sign, wondering whether it holds a hidden message. Instead, they have begun living each day with gratitude, believing that when the right chapter arrives, it will be recognized naturally rather than forced. That quiet confidence changes everything. For the first time, both hearts are no longer searching from a place of fear. They are waiting from a place of peace. And peace has a remarkable way of attracting beautiful beginnings. Now think once more about the mysterious letter. Perhaps you expected it to unlock every secret. Instead, it unlocked something even more valuable. It reminded you to pause. To listen. To believe that even the smallest detail can inspire hope when viewed through eyes filled with gratitude. That was its true purpose from the beginning. The letter was never the miracle. The heart that learned to hope again was. So as this chapter comes to a close, carry this promise from the story with you: never underestimate the quiet moments. A simple conversation may become a lifelong memory. A small act of kindness may change someone's entire day. One unexpected meeting may open a chapter you never imagined possible. Walk forward with peace. Choose compassion whenever you can. Let patience become your strength and gratitude become your guide. For in this fictional journey, the greatest blessing was never hidden in a single letter, it was hidden in the person you became while searching for its meaning. And perhaps, that transformation was the message heaven wanted you to discover all along. My beloved child. You have reached the final chapter of this fictional message, yet what truly matters is not where this story ends, it is what your heart carries with it after the final words are spoken. From the beginning, you were invited into a mystery. A single letter. A hidden connection. A quiet whisper that seemed to follow you from one moment to the next. You wondered whether the answer would be found in a name, in a sign, or in a remarkable coincidence. But now the deeper meaning can finally be revealed. The greatest mysteries are not placed before us to satisfy curiosity. They are placed before us to awaken hope. Throughout this journey, the mysterious letter represented possibility. It reminded you that every meaningful story begins with something small: a thought, a choice, a prayer, a conversation, or a single act of kindness. Great chapters rarely announce themselves with thunder. More often, they begin as gentle whispers that only a patient heart can hear. Within this fictional story, the other soul also arrived at this understanding. They stopped searching for perfect certainty. They stopped believing that every answer had to arrive immediately. Instead, they learned to appreciate each ordinary day, trusting that the right people, the right opportunities, and the right moments would appear in their proper season. At the very same time, your own heart was changing. Without realizing it, you became stronger. More compassionate. More patient. More willing to believe that tomorrow could be brighter than yesterday. That transformation became the true miracle. For what is the value of discovering a sign if the heart is not prepared to receive the blessing it points toward? This is why every delay in the story mattered. Every unanswered question. Every unexpected turn. Every season of waiting. Each one quietly shaped the person you were becoming. Now, as this message draws to its close, remember one final truth. Do not measure your life only by the answers you receive. Measure it by the kindness you share. By the hope you protect. By the peace you carry into the lives of others. Those are the treasures that remain long after every mystery has been solved. If one day a certain letter reminds you of this story, let it do more than spark curiosity. Let it remind you to choose love over fear. Patience over worry. Gratitude over disappointment. And faith in tomorrow over regret about yesterday. Because every new sunrise offers another opportunity to become the person you were always capable of becoming. So walk forward with confidence. Keep your heart open. Continue showing kindness where kindness is needed. Continue believing that beautiful chapters can still unfold, even when you cannot yet see them. And whenever life seems uncertain, remember this fictional message from heaven. The most extraordinary discoveries are not always about finding the right person. Sometimes they are about becoming the right person. That is where every truly meaningful journey begins. Until another story calls you back, may your days be filled with hope, your heart with peace, and your path with quiet reminders that even the smallest beginnings can lead to the most unforgettable endings. My beloved child. If these words have found you from the very beginning until now, then let this final chapter become a gentle blessing rather than an ending. This remains a fictional spiritual story, yet every story leaves behind a seed. The seed I hope remains in your heart is not curiosity about a letter, but confidence that every meaningful journey begins with hope. There will be days when the path ahead seems clear, and there will be days when questions return. During those moments, remember that even in this story, the greatest answers did not appear all at once. They unfolded one quiet step at a time. Perhaps one day you will hear a familiar initial spoken in conversation. Perhaps you will notice it written in an unexpected place. Perhaps it will simply remind you of this journey. When that happens, do not rush to conclusions. Instead, let it remind you to pause, breathe, and appreciate the present moment. Every new day carries opportunities that yesterday could never offer. Every sunrise is another invitation to choose kindness, wisdom, patience, and gratitude. Within this fictional tale, the two souls finally discover something remarkable. It was never coincidence that shaped their journey. It was the countless small decisions they made while no one was watching. Choosing compassion when resentment seemed easier. Choosing honesty when silence felt safer. Choosing hope when disappointment tried to take its place. Those quiet choices became the bridge that slowly brought their stories together. That is the hidden message heaven wished to reveal. Destiny, in this story, was not built in one dramatic moment. It was built through ordinary days lived with extraordinary hearts. And so, if you carry anything from these words, carry this. Let every conversation become an opportunity to encourage someone. Let every challenge become a chance to grow. Let every delay become a reminder that beautiful things often arrive in their proper season rather than according to our own schedule. Never believe that a season of waiting means a season without purpose. Sometimes the roots grow deepest before the flowers appear. Sometimes the quietest chapters prepare the brightest beginnings. As you leave this fictional message behind, walk into your own story with renewed hope. Notice the beauty around you. Celebrate small victories. Offer forgiveness freely. Protect your peace. And never underestimate how one simple act of kindness can begin a chain of blessings far beyond what your eyes can see. May your heart remain open to wonder. May your spirit remain steady through every season. And may you always remember that the greatest revelation was never hidden inside a single letter, it was hidden inside the person you were becoming while searching for its meaning. This chapter ends here. But every new day gives you another blank page, another opportunity to write a story filled with compassion, courage, gratitude, and hope. Walk forward with peace, my beloved child, and let your own light become the message someone else has been waiting to find. My beloved child. One final whisper remains before this fictional journey gently fades into silence. There is a beautiful truth that many spend a lifetime searching for, yet it is often discovered only after the heart has stopped demanding immediate answers. You began this story believing that heaven was about to reveal a single letter. But as every chapter unfolded, you discovered that the greatest revelation was never hidden inside an initial, it was hidden inside the quiet transformation of your own spirit. There is a reason this story invited you to slow down. The world often teaches people to hurry, to compare, and to chase certainty. Yet heaven, in this fictional tale, teaches something different. It reminds every searching soul that peace is found not by racing ahead, but by faithfully walking the step that is already before them. Imagine looking at a tapestry from the back. The threads appear tangled. The colors seem random. Nothing appears complete. But the artist sees the front of the tapestry. Every thread belongs. Every color has purpose. Every knot supports a masterpiece that cannot yet be seen from where you stand. So it has been with your journey throughout this story. The delays had meaning. The unanswered questions had meaning. The unexpected turns had meaning. Even the mysterious letter had meaning, not because it predicted the future, but because it taught your heart to notice beauty in small things. Now imagine that somewhere, another soul quietly lifts their eyes toward tomorrow with the same hope. They do not know your story. You do not know theirs. Yet both of you have learned the same lesson. The strongest connections are built upon kindness, humility, patience, and compassion long before two paths ever cross. That lesson is the true treasure. Carry it wherever life leads you. Let every sunrise remind you that new beginnings are always possible. Let every sunset remind you to release yesterday with gratitude instead of regret. Speak words that heal. Choose actions that encourage. Become the kind of light that quietly brightens another person's darkest day. For in this fictional message, that has always been heaven's deepest invitation. Not merely to search for signs, but to become a sign of hope for someone else. If one day a certain letter catches your attention again, smile gently. Let it remind you of this story. Not because it promises certainty, but because it reminds you that even the smallest beginning can inspire extraordinary hope when carried by a peaceful heart. And so this final page closes with a quiet blessing. May you continue forward with courage when the road feels uncertain. May gratitude remain stronger than disappointment. May hope remain louder than fear. And may your own story continue to unfold with wisdom, grace, and compassion, one beautiful chapter at a time. Until another fictional message finds you, remember this. The greatest miracle was never waiting at the end of the journey. It was quietly growing within you from the very first step. My beloved child. If you have walked through every chapter until this moment, then know that this fictional journey still carries one last echo. Some stories end with answers. Others end by awakening a new way of seeing the world. This story was always meant to do the second. There will come a day when you look back and realize that what appeared to be ordinary was quietly extraordinary. A brief conversation. A smile from a stranger. An unexpected delay. A door that closed before another one opened. None of those moments were meaningless within this story. Each became a thread in a tapestry that only heaven could see from beginning to end. You once searched for a single letter, believing it held the entire mystery. But now your heart understands. The letter was never asking you to predict tomorrow. It was inviting you to become present today. For the greatest blessings are often recognized only by hearts that have learned to slow down and truly see. Imagine a traveler standing at the edge of a peaceful river. The water keeps moving. The seasons keep changing. The sky reflects differently every single day. Yet the river never worries about reaching the ocean. It simply continues flowing with quiet confidence. That is the invitation this story leaves with you. Keep moving forward. Not with fear. Not with impatience. but with quiet trust that every faithful step has value, even when you cannot yet see where the path will lead. Within this fictional tale, the other soul has also reached that understanding. They no longer wonder whether every coincidence must be explained. Instead, they choose to become someone who brings peace wherever they go. Their greatest discovery was not another person's name. It was discovering the kind of person they wished to become. And perhaps that is the same invitation waiting for you. Continue offering kindness without expecting recognition. Continue encouraging others even when your own heart still carries questions. Continue believing that hope is never wasted. Because hope has a remarkable way of preparing the soul for blessings that cannot be forced. If, someday, a certain letter catches your attention once more, let it remind you of something deeper than curiosity. Let it remind you that every meaningful chapter begins with a single choice. The choice to forgive. The choice to trust. The choice to love generously. The choice to keep walking forward even when the entire road cannot yet be seen. That is where this fictional message finds its lasting purpose. Not in revealing every mystery, but in reminding you that your greatest story is still unfolding. The pages ahead have not yet been written. The sunrise waiting beyond the horizon has not yet appeared. And perhaps the most beautiful chapter of all is the one that begins the moment you close this story, carry hope into your own life, and become a source of light for someone else's journey. Until another story calls your heart again, walk in peace, cherish each new beginning, and remember that sometimes the smallest whisper becomes the beginning of the greatest adventure. My beloved child. Before this chapter comes to rest, there is one final scene that heaven, within this fictional story, wishes to place gently before your heart. Imagine standing beneath a sky filled with countless stars. From where you stand, they appear scattered without order. Yet from a greater view, every light has its place. Every constellation tells a story. Every point of light belongs to something larger than itself. So it has been with your journey. The days you celebrated. The days you questioned. The days you waited in silence. None of them were isolated moments. Together, they became the constellation of your story. The mysterious letter that first captured your attention was never meant to become an obsession. It was a quiet reminder that even the smallest details can awaken hope when your heart remains open to wonder. Some people spend their lives searching for signs while forgetting to become a blessing to others. Do not let that happen. Instead, let every lesson from this fictional message become part of the way you live. Let patience shape your decisions. Let compassion guide your words. Let forgiveness lighten your heart. And let gratitude become the melody that follows you through every season. Within this story, the other soul has reached the very same understanding. They have stopped asking, when will everything finally happen? Instead, they now ask, how can I bring more kindness into today? That single change transforms everything. For when two hearts are growing in wisdom, they are already moving towards something beautiful, whether they realize it or not. Perhaps tomorrow will bring an unexpected conversation. Perhaps next week will open a surprising opportunity. Perhaps months from now you will remember this story and smile, realizing that its greatest gift was never certainty, it was courage. The courage to believe that good things can still happen. The courage to remain gentle in a world that often rewards impatience. The courage to keep hope alive even when the destination cannot yet be seen. Carry that courage with you. Let it become stronger than doubt. Let it become brighter than fear. And if one day that familiar letter appears before your eyes again, do not rush to assign it a meaning. Simply let it remind you that every beautiful beginning starts with a heart prepared to receive it. For the greatest message heaven shared throughout this fictional journey was never hidden in a letter. It was hidden in the quiet invitation to become a person whose life reflects peace, kindness, and unwavering hope. That invitation remains with you long after these words fade into silence.